أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. My sincere thanks, appreciation for giving an opportunity to serve, especially the Maulana and you the Mu'mineen, and may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala accept from each one of us biqabul and hasan, and may He grant further tawfiqat, opportunities to serve in whatever way, in whatever manner, and in this house of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, which is the best service that a person can provide. On and off, we have to continuously increase our ma'rifah association with Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. One of the ways it's by studying, and that day that book was mentioned, so that we can enhance and increase our knowledge towards them. Again, there is this website which belongs to the Imam Riza alayhi salatu wassalam in Mashhad. It's called Astane Quds Razavi, aqrazavi.org. Razavi spelled R-A-Z-A-V-I. And they've got English material also over there, which is good. And if there are many visitors and you write to them, you have comments, that website will become even better. And that is again a good source so that we can increase our level of ma'rifah, because right sources are important. We can't get anything from anywhere. Just Googling and getting information is not right. So the right information has to come from the right place. Now, we talked about this phrase which we have in Ziyarat Jami'at al-Kabira, which says Aadatukum al-ihsan wa sajiyatukum al-karam, that it is the aadat, the habit of Ahlul Bayt, which is ihsan, to do good. Ihsan is doing good without having any desire, any want for something in addition to what was done. Just they do it, they give. وَسَجِيَّتُكُمُ الْكَرَمْ, that is, it is their style, it's their routine. That is how Ahlul Bayt are. On that website, it mentions regarding a girl, 15 years old, Marziya Azimi, living in Mashhad. She's the sixth child of her mother, falls ill. She is paralyzed, she loses her sight, becomes blind. Now, because this girl cannot move from her place, she is just in a corner doing nothing, as a result of which her weight increases to 300 kilograms. Mother, she takes her everywhere for her treatment, and one of the physicians, which is the last physician which she took to, he, after examining her, says that don't waste any more of your time and money, because nothing can be done. No doctor, no medicine, no physician has got any cure for her. She has come to a dead end. If a miracle is to take place, if a karamat is to take place, that's something else, but we can't do anything. Mother in tears, she gets up from the doctor's clinic and just crying all the way in the clinic, and the daughter is on the wheelchair, but doesn't lose hope. We talked about hope a lot. Comes home and tells her to get ready. We have one more doctor left. Comes straight to the haram of Imam Rida alayhi salam. And there she ties her with the zarih and says, you have to get cured here. That is the outlet to every dead end. She says she was there at night, mom also pleading and crying for her daughter. And this girl, she says that I saw two women come towards me. And they tell me, get up, Marzia, stand up. She says, I can't stand. After a while, she says, a very Nurani, enlightened person, dressed in green, comes to her, says, Marzia, stand up. She stood. She says that very moment, that sight which she had lost was given back to her. That paralyzed body was given shifa to her. And all those zawars present in the haram, they come, they take Marzia onto their heads, on their shoulders. And the naqqare, the horns were blown in the haram as a thanksgiving to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that even today we've got these outlets which are available. So we have to have that association with Ma'sumin alayhimus salam, the strong association. That is, no matter what a person wants, no matter what he needs, he can get that through Ma'sumin alayhimus salam. And this majlis of Abu Abdullah does that miraculous effect. That is, Safinatul Hussein awsa' wa asra'. That is, this ark of Hussein is vast. It takes everyone on board. It will take you to your destination fast, quick. There is nothing more faster than this ark of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. So, aadatukum al-ihsan wa sajiyatukum al-karam. That is the style of Ma'sumin. They're just too good, no matter who that person is. There were some questions regarding the observing of Azar, the etiquettes of the day of Ashura, the 9th of Muharram, what the dress code should be, so on and so forth, and many, many questions. There's a book called Al-Muraqibat, written by Marhum Ayatullah al-Uzma Shaykh Jawad Agha Maliki Tabrizi, who was one of the asatid of Marhum Imam Khomeini as well, and he's buried in Qom in Shaykhan, one of the great personalities. And there in that book, all the 12 months of the year, what the etiquettes and what the adab a person has to observe for each month, what du'as we have, what ziyarat we have, what prayers we have, are all listed and mentioned over there. That's a right source. That if you want to know how Ashura is to be observed, that is a good book. Mafatihul Jinan is a good book, although Mafatihul Jinan doesn't have that much of information in it. Going to Jantaris, going to Tuhfatul Awam, all that is wrong. You have to get it from the right source. Now, in this book is certified by every alim. All these great ulama that we have, all of them have certified. Marhum Allama Tabatabai, he says that when the book was given to him, they asked him for a reprint, for him to write a few words on the book. In the opening, he says that, what shall I write? Everything present in this book is a gem. So that is a good source that we can get. When it comes to the observance of the day of Ashura, it's the day of Azar, day of mourning, dress black, be clean, be in taharat, and that whole concept of a person being hit in a tragedy, in musibat, has to be seen, has to be evident. Sometimes they wipe this clay and mud on their foreheads, on their clothes a little bit, just to say that we are hit in this tragedy, hurt. Not saying salam, we don't have anywhere. Or if a person does say salamun alaikum to you on the day of Ashura, not replying him, that is committing a sin. Now that also, inshallah, we'll talk on that a little bit. So, ahkam that we have to learn them from the right source. The teaching that we have for the day of Ashura is to condole each other by these words that we have, Azzamallahu ujurakum, ya a'zamallahu ujurana bimusabina, so on and so forth. All these different formats that we have, that musibat has to be mentioned and condoled. There are some istighfars, there are some recitals, some prayers for that day, for that night of Ashura, etc., that have to be observed. When it comes to salam, salam means you wish the well-being of the person who you say salam to. Salam is the name of Allah. Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam says, among the etiquettes of how a person should be wishing is that yusallimu as-saghir ala al-kabir. The youngsters, they come and wish the elders, although we have teachings from the Prophet that he used to take heed and he used to wish the youngsters as well. So, وَالْمَارُّ عَلَى الْقَائِدِ, if a person is standing by the door of this center and there is someone passing by, the etiquette is that the person who is passing by says Salamun alaykum to that person who is standing. وَالْقَلِيلُ عَلَى الْكَثِيرِ, or if there are a group of 2-3 brothers walking and there is a group of 20, 30 standing. So those who are the few, they say salam to this larger crowd. That is the etiquette. Or if a person is riding, he's in his car and there's someone on foot. So the one driving the car says salam to this person who is on foot. Or if he's on his horse, says salam to him who is on foot. How do we reply? Quran says, إِذَا حُيِّيتُمْ بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنٍ مِنْهَا. If someone says Salamun alaykum to you, he has done something mustahab. He gets a reward 99. Some say 70. And reply, the person who has to say that answer, who replies saying Salamun alaykum, it is wajib on him and he just has to give that reply and he gets 1 reward. The person who says salam has done 99, a lot more reward. And over here in replying to this salam, there is no exception. We don't have any fatwa, any rule, any hadith which says that you have to say salam back, exception day of Ashura. No. Even on the day of Ashura, if someone says salam to you, you have to reply because that is wajib. Word of Quran, that someone who says salam to you, you have to reply. Here Quran says that if someone says Salamun alaykum to you, in reply you say Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullah, a little bit more. If someone says Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullah, you say Salamun alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So much so that if you were saying your prayers and someone comes and says Salamun alaykum to you, it is wajib on you that you say his salam back. So how do you say? If someone says Salamun alaykum, you don't say alaykum as-salam in namaz. In prayers, you say Salamun alaykum. Even though he may have said alaykum salam, or your habit was to say alaykum salam in reply, in namaz, you have to have that salam before alaykum at all times, no matter what your habit is. So if someone wishes you, you have to wish him back in namaz saying Salamun alaykum. And it is so strong, the teaching over here, that if that person was hard in hearing, or if he couldn't hear, or he was away from you, you have to show him that you have responded to his salam. Now what if he wishes on the day of Ashura? You don't say Salamun alaykum, you've committed a sin by not responding to his salam. So whether it is the day of Ashura, whether it is the other 364 days, that salam, it has to be replied. And this is the policy of Ma'sumin. Again, we find that إِذَا حُيِّيتُمْ بِتَحِيَّةٍ, when someone comes and says salam to Ma'sumin in the haram, or from here when you recite the ziyarat saying salam, it is impossible for them not to reply, because it is wajib on them to reply. The problem is in our transponders, in our receivers. We are deaf, we don't listen to what they are saying. Otherwise they have that salam replied, because it's our aqidah, our belief that they are all alive, and they listen and they reply. But it's we who are the unlucky, who don't tend to understand and hear their communications. Or says in another hadith, our 6th Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, Innal bakhil man yabkhalu bis salam. If you want to know who a stingy is, who a niggard is, Imam says someone who doesn't wish, doesn't say salam, that person is a bakhil. So much of importance we find to this issue of how a person should wish other mu'mineen, and so much of teachings we don't find anywhere else. It is only this household of Wahi, household of Ahlul Bayt, who teaches us. That was one. The other question was regarding sleeping. Are there any etiquettes for that? We have, alhamdulillah, adab for everything. Quran says that from this 24 hours day that He has given to you, Allah says, part of that is night. فَالِقُ الْإِصْبَاحِ وَجَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ سَكَنًا. That Allah is the one who causes the dawn to break, and He is the one who made the night for you to rest. So night is to rest. Night is not to chat. Night is not for Facebook. Night is to sleep. Night is to rest. So, it was mentioned the other day that even if we sleep for a little bit at night, a few hours at night, that night's sleep will make up for the duration of the day. If a person doesn't sleep during the night and he wants to sleep all the day, that all day sleep will never make him relax or never will make him fresh. It's like charging an iPad from a notebook through a USB connection. It will take hours and hours and hours, and it will never get charged. Plug it into the mains, it's rapid. That mains over here is the night sleep. Says that there are etiquettes for sleeping. Some sleeps, they are disliked. To sleep after the Fajr prayers and before the sunrise, that is makruh. That is the time when all that special grace and mercy of Allah, favors, barakat pour down on every individual. That is the best time. By sleeping at the time, we are being deprived of that special grace of Allah. So that time, it's makruh to sleep. Sleeping between Maghrib and Isha, that is also makruh. Sleeping in the state of janabat, that is makruh. Sleeping in a mosque, makruh, although we don't have mosques here, inshallah, soon you will have a mosque, a full-fledged mosque, and inshallah, under the guidance of Sayyid, like every other program, every other plan which was successful, this inshallah also will be successful, and you will have Jummah prayers also, inshallah. Inshallah. Sleeping all alone is makruh. Sleeping with an unwashed hand after having a meal, makruh. Sleeping on your left side, that is makruh. Now, mustahab. It is recommended that we have a nap. If it's a hot day, which you don't get over here ever, so it's to sleep before Zuhr. That is mustahab, but that is irrelevant for Seattle. After Zuhr prayers till Asr, it's mustahab to have a qaylula, to have a little nap. To perform a wuzu before sleeping is mustahab. Using the washroom before going to bed is mustahab. Sleeping on your right side with your hand under your face is mustahab. To recite du'as, we have many du'as in Quran, in the Mafatihul Jinan and other books, which is mustahab to recite. Reciting surahs like Surah Yasin, Suratul Ahad, Suratul Kafirun, all this is mustahab. Now if you have memorized and you can recite as much as you can, good. Reciting the tasbih of Hazrat Zahra, salamullahi alayha, is mustahab before going to bed, and that is the easiest one. If a person wasn't in a good mood to recite Quran and did not have that memory or those Quran as his mahfuzat, the best way is just to recite this tasbih. That is also good. Now that we are going to sleep and you want to wake up at a certain time, if it is for Salatul Layl, if it is for your Fajr prayers, many a times it's tough to get up. Here we've got an ayah in Quran which works miraculously as a wake-up call, as an alarm. What is that? It's the ayah number 110 of Suratul Kahf. Recite that before going to bed and you will wake up at whatever time you want to get up. Ayah number 110, Suratul Kahf. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. Ayah number 110, Suratul Kahf. It's that wake-up call, alarm, to get up in the morning at whatever time you desire. This is, again, the other question that was asked. So, salam, no matter what circumstances, it never falls. We have to reply to that salam, even on the day of Ashura. In Munajat Sha'baniyah, one of the beautiful munajat that we have reported from all of the Ma'sumeen, and it is said that whenever you are in a good mood, recite it. Season of it, it's the month of Sha'ban. Otherwise, you can recite it anytime. There says, Ilahi habli kamal al-inqita'i ilayk. That Allah make it as such that that perfect inqita', separation, is granted to me, which brings me only to you. That is, everything else apart from you, detach it from me and attach me to you. وَأَنِرْ أَبْصَارَ قُلُوبِنَا بِضِيَاءِ نَظَرِهَا إِلَيْكَ. That is, enlighten my heart with that light which is yours. بِضِيَاءِ نَظَرِهَا إِلَيْكَ. With that sight of yours which is going to be on that heart of mine. حَتَّى تَخْرِقَ أَبْصَارُ الْقُلُوبِ حُجُبَ النُّورِ. So that that light, it breaks through and gets me to my destination, my goal. فَتَّصِلَ إِلَى مَعْدِنِ الرَّحْمَةِ. And it connects me to that source of your rahmah, of your mercy. وَتَّصِيرَ أَرْوَاحُنَا مُعَلَّقَةً بِعِزِّ قُدْسِكَ. And our souls, they get attached to your might, to your noble, glorious, pure might. So how do we get that? How do we remove all these hijabat, all these curtains, all these barriers that are in us, and how do we connect and hook up to the existence of Allah? The best way to get connected to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is by these salat that we recite. That is the prayers that we offer. That is, if this prayer is offered correctly, we find that a person, he gets attached to the existence of Allah. All those barriers that are between him and God, they are removed. It was mentioned the other day that Ma'soom, he says that throughout your life, if you offer just 1 or 2 correct prayers, and as a result of those 1 and 2 correct prayers of yours out of that 80 years of life that we had, says because of those 2 correct prayers, all of your faulty prayers, they will be corrected, they will be accepted. But we have to have that endeavor to offer at least 1 correct prayer in our 100 years of living. It seems that it's a big challenge. It seems that the prayers that we are offering, they are faulty, that Imam says like that. Out of the prayers that we offer, now all of this, a lesson to me first. Maybe we say our Maghrib prayers, it takes 7, 8, 10 minutes. Fajr, 5 minutes, for example. Zuhrain, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Hadith says that from this prayer of yours, which you had offered, for example, Maghrib, it took 3 minutes, says only that part which was good will be accepted, all of the rest will be thrown away. So not all of the prayers also, all of that prayer is accepted. Says that some of these prayers, they ascend and they come to the 4th sky. Part of it reaches there, the rest of it is thrown down. Some prayers, they elevate till the 7th sky and they remain there. Some prayers don't elevate at all. So there is something wrong in our prayers which needs to be corrected. So there is this issue of khuzu and khushu, which is mentioned a lot in our books, even in the Tawzi al-Masail or Quran, or the Adab al-Salat, etiquettes of prayers, etc. What is khuzu? What is khushu? When you look into Quran, when the qualities of mu'mineen are mentioned, says قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. That is, successful are the believers. First quality is that الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ, those who are humble in their prayers. So what is the difference between this khuzu that is mentioned and khushu? Khuzu is the face of the prayers. Khushu is that inner side of the prayers. So a prayer, it has a face, it has a shell, and a prayer itself, which is the haqiqat, the reality, the core of the prayer. So that core, it's covered by that shell, and that shell is called khuzu. That inner core is called khushu, outer core, the outer shell is called khuzu. Khuzu means I stand to say my prayers, observing all the etiquettes, and I stand as if fearful, frightened, scared in the presence of God. That is, that all those adab that have been mentioned in Tawzi'ul Masail, of whichever mujtahid you follow, look into it and observe it. That is, you stand, recite surahs, ruku has to be done correctly, sajdas have to be done correctly. And how do we enhance this fright in our prayers? Looking into the teachings of Ma'asumin, there says that when we get ready to say our prayers, it shouldn't be as such that the time enters and then we start preparing ourselves. No, way before. Among the qualities of mu'mineen is that they wait for prayers, not that the prayer waits for them. We have to wait for the time to come in and to start our prayers. Among the best qualities. So, we prepare ourselves before the time comes, and when the time comes and we are heading on to the prayer mat, Ma'asum says that just assume that it is that the prayer mat is the mosque, and the dome of that mosque, it's this rule of Allah, the kingdom of Allah, and we have been invited to this mosque to say our prayers. With that mindset, if we come to that prayer mat, it will be easier for us to perform a better service, a better prayer. That is, that khuzu will be possible. Now that we stand as if we are standing in the presence of God. That is, no strong person, no ruler, no great person ever allows us to come to his presence. And even assuming that a president wants to give you a time, it will be 1 or 2 years ahead, and they'll give you a time for 1 or 2 minutes or 5 minutes when we are to meet him after a long time. But it is only the Lord of the universe who allows us to his presence at all times. Doors are open all the time, and for as much as we want, we can stay there. So with that mindset, when we come to say our prayers, that khuzu will be better. When we stand and recite these surahs, now this is again simple, that just 20 phrases that we have to memorize correctly. And if those 20 phrases, that it's 7 ayat from Surah Al-Hamd, 5 ayat from Surah Al-Ikhlas, 1 Subhana Rabbiyal Azimi wa bihamdih, 1 Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih, and Tashahhud, 3 phrases. If we just memorize these correctly with the meanings, and when we are standing and saying the prayers, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, before that Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen comes to my tongue, the meaning is already present in my heart. Or to understand it in easier words, I say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, subtitles go in my heart. But in reality, those subtitles have to come first. That is, when I say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, I mean what I am saying, without having any desire or eye to the subtitles. So, have that meaning of that entire surah in mind, and we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen until the end of the surah, and that way we understand what we are saying. Quran says that some people, their prayers are like those muka, as if they are drunk. That is even addressing to us, that we say our prayers not understanding, not knowing what we are saying. So over here says that as if we are drunk, we say the prayers, not understanding what exactly we are saying. So that is bad. That's standing in the presence of Allah, not understanding what we are saying. We have done our duty. Mujtahideen, they say that wajib has been done. But in addition to that wajib, our idea is that we have to tear those hijabat, get to the destination which is Allah. That destination we are not getting to. So, the body has performed a duty, but the soul hasn't reached its destination. So that is a faulty prayer. So these faulty prayers, they have to be corrected. Ma'soom says, Man salla as-salat al-mafrudat fi awwal waqtiha wa aqama hududaha rafa'aha al-malik ila as-sama' bayda. Says that when you offer your prayers at that time of fazila, that is on time, that malak, that angel will take those prayers of yours. Now what type of a malak? Says over here, an enlightened, a bright white angel. He will take those prayers, and then when it takes it to that skies, to the heavens, there says, Hafizakallah kama hafaztani. That is, because you protected me, you took good care of me, the prayers, may Allah take care of you. May you be protected. And if those prayers were faulty, another angel, he comes, he takes these prayers up, and they are thrown back, and there says, Dayya'aka Allah kama dayya'tani. That may Allah ruin you, may Allah lose you as you lost me. So it is a big challenge for us that these prayers that we are performing, they have to be performed in the best way. For prayers, we find that Ma'soom, he says in qubilat ma siwaha, that if this prayer is accepted on the day of judgment, everything else will be accepted. And if this prayer is declined, is rejected, everything else will be declined and will be rejected. So one of the other things which plays an important part in enhancing this khuzu and khushu, it's khulus, ikhlas, sincerity. That we stand with sincerity before Allah. Not that I'm standing over here, someone is watching me, and if that was the case, then that namaz, that prayer is batil. If I raise my tone in prayers so that someone else listen to it, that prayer is batil. If my prayer was some different at home and different over here, that prayer is batil. So it's very delicate. That khulus, that ikhlas, that sincerity has to be there in prayers at all times. And this ikhlas, it plays a very vital role. That the more this ikhlas we have in our prayers, the more these prayers also will be accepted, and that khuzu and khushu also will be enhanced. When we talk about the etiquettes of prayers and the ikhlas is required in every hukm of Allah, in every wajib, in every mustahab. Even when it comes to services, sometimes you find that some centers, they are flourishing with khair, with goodness, with beauty. Result is that ikhlas, sincerity of the founders of that centers. Quran says that the first mosque that was built in Medina, Masjid Quba, the beauty of this mosque was that Rasulullah was ousted from Mecca and he's coming to Medina, migrating to Medina. Here, he stops by this place where Masjid Quba was built. Now, why does he halt over there? He says, let Ali come. Let him come and join. They stay there for 20 days, 22 days, some report 26 days, so that Rasulullah, so that Amir al-Mu'mineen joins the Prophet. And when he comes there, the people of the nearby villages, they buy this piece of land in Quba, and that first mosque was established. Ayah is revealed. لَمَسْجِدٌ أُسِّسَتْ عَلَى التَّقْوَى. That is that mosque which was founded on taqwa, that is on God-wariness. And it is where these wonderful people, they have established it. What do they want? They want to invite others so that others are also purified. So that is that ikhlas of that mosque that was built by Rasulullah. So ikhlas, it plays a very important part. The more sincere a person is, output of his ikhlas also, it's huge. For example, Marhum Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayh, everyone bears witness to this, that the ikhlas which he possessed was to the max. There isn't a second. Now, what he has left behind, this asset as the Islamic State, no one who got this opportunity from the time of Prophet Adam right up to today. That is a result of ikhlas. For ikhlas, how come a person gets to that point? Now, the possessions that we have in this dunya, may that be wealth, may that be health, may that be abilities, may that be talents, whatever, out of all of these blessings that Allah has given, the wealthiest or the most precious blessing, it's the blessing of life. Jaan hai to jahan hai, as they say. Or similar sayings in Farsi. That is life, it's the greatest blessing of Allah. Now this old man, 80 years of age, now when it is, now as you have fundraisings over here, that you had a target of 125 and you met half of it, whatever. So there is a time when there is a fundraising required, but not in pounds and dollars. Fundraising of souls, of mu'mineen, so that they fight for the cause of God. For fi sabilillah. Now this old man, when the nation is hit by the kuffar, he says, we need to fight. Thousands, tens of thousands of young people, they get together, they are prepared to give away their life. That is the result of that khulus. That how come one person says, we need to die, and you have swarms of people behind him, they are prepared to give away their life. That is that ikhlas. Ikhlas again is enhanced by our performance in our day-to-day life. Now when we get these deals, when we, in all these different stores, we go and buy. Sometimes we buy more. Now look at the performance of this noble. When he is in France, the caretaker, he says that I went and bought some oranges. Every day they used to buy, for example, 2 kilograms, and this time Imam, he comes and says that why do we have so many oranges today? Instead of 2 kilograms, why do we have 8, for example? Why did you buy so many? We didn't need them. He says that I was happy that when I tell him that I got it for a very good deal, it was really cheap, he's going to be happy. He says, I said to Marhum Imam Khomeini that these oranges were on offer today, and because they were so cheap, I bought so many. 4 times of whatever their consumption was. He says that he gets upset, that why did you buy so many? We needed only 2 kilograms. Why did you get 8? Says, what do I do? Go and give them back. He says, in France, you can't return fruits. Says, whatever, you have to give it back. We don't need them. He says, now what wrong did I do? He said, you've done 2 wrongs, 2 sins you have committed. First sin is that you did not need so many oranges, you went and bought them. 1 sin, 1 guna. The second is that when you have these deals, there are people who are in need. They wait for prices to knock down so that they can go and buy. So if you usurp the right of those who are in need, who are waiting for such deals to come up, they can't buy now. He says, what do I do now? He says, well, we don't need them, we can't eat them. You have to give them out away as sadaqah on behalf of those people who are in need and who could not buy them. Look at the delicacy of the performance of these people. No wonder they reach to these great ranks. That is ikhlas. So the more the ikhlas of a person, output is huge. No matter what instruction is given, impact of that instruction is huge. Now for this, when we look into his performance, his ikhlas, it is because the source file from where he gets that information or those teachings, that education, it's wahi, it is Quran, it is ma'sumeen. Destination, which is his pure heart, that is also clean. Destination, which is he himself, that is also pure. As a result of that, output is also beautiful. Sometimes you find that water, it gushes out from a spring, it's pure, you can drink it there. But the path from wherein that water is flowing down and comes to the destination, it becomes so muddy and soily, we cannot use it. So most of the times when our teachings, they have no effect, that is the reason. Source file is good, teachings are good, but because where they are flowing and what the destination is, that is bad, that effect is also not there. And we say that Allahumma khlisni bi khalisati tawheedik, dua in Makarim al-Akhlaq, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam prays this. Says that God, purify me, grant me that ikhlas which is so pure, so clean, so tahir, so sincere, as pure as your existence, as the existence of Allah. Allahumma khlisni bi khalisati tawheedik. So that is one of the ways how we can enhance this khuzu, which is fright and fear in our prayers, by enhancing this ikhlas in us. For that again, it was mentioned repeatedly that we have to increase the knowledge that we have. And knowledge, it could be anything, but Al-ilmu ma ubida bihi ar-Rahman wa hussila bihi al-Janan. That is, that makes you come closer to Allah, to His worship, to His servitude, and by which you can get to your destination, which is the heaven. That is ilm. So all these things have to be enhanced in us so that we can perform a better service when we come to say our prayers in our day-to-day life. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us in performing these prayers, in safeguarding this gem which is salat. And this salat, if it is accepted, everything else will be accepted. And if this is rejected, everything else, no matter how much good we may have had performed, all of that will be thrown onto our faces. This tragedy of Karbala comes to an end on the day of Ashura. But in reality, that is the starting of more masa'ib on this noble household of Wahi. In a few hours, a few members, 70 odd members, they perished, they died. Abu Abdullah starts the day before everyone, ends the day after everyone. He himself is perished. He himself is dead. The charge is given to Zainab al-Kubra, and she is to look after the entire caravan, all the women, the children, even the Imam who is ill. And when inquired from Imam al-Sajjad that as to where did you see most of these afflictions, he says it was Sham. It was Sham, Sham, 3 times he says. So Karbala wasn't that tough. Tough was Sham. When they set off from Karbala, heading on towards Sham, a time comes that the caravan wouldn't move. The head of Abu Abdullah was stuck to the ground, it wouldn't move. They try all their best that why is it not moving? They don't get to a solution. They come to Imam al-Sajjad and ask him, why is it not moving? He says, one of the children has fallen from the camels. Unless we get that child, the head won't move. They go down and find that a baby has fallen down, a child has fallen down, and they bring him. Now, the way how this caravan sets off in the most miserable conditions, sitting on a camel without any seating on it, it's tough. A camel ride is tough. Now, all of them were made to sit on the camel. The women, the children were chained. Even the elder members with the younger members in the same chains. Maqatil, they say that when the elder members wanted to walk, the younger members whose height was less than them, they were hurt. Imam who himself is ill, Imam who himself cannot walk, he is in chains heavier than him. Here we find that the noble head of Abu Abdullah, it guides all the way through, even in the palace of Yazid. Luhuf fi qatl al-tufuf, there Sayyid ibn Taus, he says that Yazid La'natullah alayhi, he holds a big feast, a festival, invites all the dignitaries, among them it's this Roman ambassador. There says that we've hosted a feast today, a celebration. Everyone is there. It's a wining, dining party. Now this Roman ambassador, when he comes to that meeting, to that celebration, he says that, what is the reason you have celebrated today? Why? Yazid says, it's not your business, just be happy and then you can leave. He says, I can't do that. I have to report back to Rome. I have to know what is the reason, where I go, what are these meetings that are held. Upon his emphasis, he says that it is because we killed Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet. He says, Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet, you killed and you celebrate? Shame on you. Where the generation gap is just one woman, the mother of Hussein, and this grand celebration. He talks a lot over there, and then Yazid instructs that he be taken and beheaded. He says that I am from the followers, from the progeny of Dawood, and there is a generation gap of 70 between me and Prophet Dawood. And even today when I walk in the streets of Rome, people, they come and respect me and take the dust from my feet because I am from the Prophet of Dawood. He says when he's being taken to be beheaded, he says, one wish I have. Says, what is your wish? Says, allow me to say something, to kiss this, respect this head. And what is that you want to say? He says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Says that, why do you say that? Says, I wondered this morning when I woke up, I had a dream, I saw the Prophet of Islam in my dreams. And I said to myself, why did the Prophet come to me? When I'm a Christian, Prophet Jesus has to come into my dreams, not the Prophet. He says, this is the interpretation of my dream. That is, I have to embrace and end as such. Head of Abu Abdullah, guidance to all the way through, even today. Safinatul Hussein, awsa wa asra. That this ark of Hussein, it's vast, it's vast. It takes everyone on board, no matter who he is. After this tragedy of Karbala, when this caravan, it's just heading on. It's our aqeedah. When it comes to the burial of an imam, it is an imam who has to say the prayers on the imam. It is an imam who has to bury the imam. The same thing is over here, that although Imam as-Sajjad, he is heading off towards Karbala, but it is him who by the command of Allah comes to Karbala and lays the bodies to rest. On the 12th of Muharram, when he comes, he buries the Imam. Now, when it comes to the burial of the Imam, Shaheed has no ghusl. But that Shaheed has to be laid to rest. How can this Shaheed be laid to rest? In one piece, he's all broken, crushed. As those Malayin, they had crushed and pounded the bodies under the hooves of the horses. Here a mat was prepared. There the body of Abu Abdullah is placed in that mat, is buried, and when laid to rest and the grave is closed, Imam writes on the grave, هذا قبر الحسين ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib الذي قتلوه عطشانا غريبا. This is the grave of Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was killed thirsty and away from his homeland alone. Now this burial takes place with the assistance of Bani Asad, the tribe of Bani Asad. Bani Asad with the Imam, they buried the Imam and all the Ashab. When it comes to the burial of Qamar Bani Hashim, Abul Fazl al-Abbas, here Imam lays him to rest where he fell down, where he passed away, the place where he died. There Imam after his burial says, Ala dunya ba'daka al-afa, Ya Qamar Bani Hashim, Wa alayka minni salam, min shaheedan. That is, salam be upon you, O moon of Bani Hashim. The companions, all of them, the ashab, they were buried in one place. Ali Akbar alayhi salam was buried below the feet of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Habib ibn Mazahir was buried in the place where he is buried now. And at this, the tribe of Bani Asad, they were proud. They said that we are the lucky ones to be the first ones to be with the Imam, to say the prayers on the Ma'sumin and the Ashab of Abu Abdullah. One of the children on this day of Ashura was missing. Zainab Kubra, she counts all the children. It says one is missing, and that is the dearest one to Abu Abdullah. Says that is Sakina, she is missing. Says, where is she now? Rushes in search, doesn't find her anywhere. Amidst the battlefield and on a body, she finds her there, crying on the body. Says, how did you come here? Says, I was in search of my father. And how did you know it's your father? It's a headless body. She says, that I recognize. And when she was there to bring her back, there sees from a distance that someone on a horseback is coming towards the battlefront. Rushes towards the horse, says, stop, don't come any closer. It was a tough day. It was a day of horror. And I've put all the children to sleep. Let them rest. By you coming closer, they will become restless. They will be horrified. And I don't want that to happen. The horseman, the rider says, Zainab, didn't you recognize me? Says, who are you? He uncovers his face and says, it's your father Ali who has come. Says, Father, is this the time to come when everything has perished? When everyone has passed away? Father, where were you? When Sajjad the ill, when he was being dragged? Where were you when the tents were set ablaze? Where were you when those rings were seized from the ears of the children? Where were you, Father, when my brother was being killed? Where were you when Shimr was seated on his chest? Where were you when Ali Asghar was being shot? Is this the time to come? ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إلهي بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها يا الله 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 اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن وجب له حق علينا ولمن وصانا بالدعاء ولجميع أمة محمد وآل محمد. Ya Allah, do not make these days of mourning the last days of mourning of our life. Give us further opportunities to serve, to sit and cry for Abu Abdullah and Hussein. These tears that were shed, make them an asset of ours for our graves, for our barzakh and for our qiyamah. This association that we have with Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, Allah increase it, strengthen it. Never separate us from Quran, from Ahlul Bayt. May that be even for a moment. May that be in this dunya, barzakh or qiyamah. وَعَجِّلْ فِي فَرَجِ مَوْلَانَا صَاحِبَ الزَّمَانِ مَاتَمِ حُسَيْنِ.